games, idea, but that specific day, it wasn't a very good game.
That's a mobile.
On my so because vision, vision and Kolano, I had hope. Say, oh, Kola way there, you beat me on my, but Americano Modi Ebefa Sosadano. It was really difficult for the boys, and the boys found it hard to do just the basic things, and that had me thinking a little bit because these are supposed to be, it's Accra House of Folk, and it's the top of the top, right? So those boys are supposed to showcase something that mimics or aligns with the team that they play for. But that day, it wasn't the case. So I wasn't impressed, to put it that way.
Your boss season we be adeɛ baako na run it through. Oh, House of Folk recruitment and koye oman to the right players are. Na say nkomo na ebebo a team no. And I know say as chairman at the diaspora no, oni mpanimfo din komo. Omo say what is the problem? I say every season biara no House of Folk enya no wrong about recruitment. They no mo hwa omo dey recruitment ebebo season be wie biara say the same asamna baako na ne ka da bia recruitment. Omo say e dey ade a. Oni mpanimfo din komo.
Okay, talking to a few people, it looks like people know the gap that House of Folk has right now, which is bringing in quality players. People know that. And I want to say is that the players and their managers also know this. So I wouldn't say that, I don't know if this is the right word, but I think some people are taking advantage of the system, right? And putting yourself in the shoes of the administrators running the club, Oba say be a boy way, wakudin komo wa say, and he's been quoted a figure, and I'm going to just use basic numbers in this example. Until almost say be other teams on between 2,000, but because that same boy now betina House of Folk was measure 4,000, right? So at that point, it becomes real delicate. Do you just pay the boy because you need him, or you go with what his value really is? Now I think say in that little piece of negotiation, that's where it gets really, really tough because the boys, fortunately, unfortunately, your team, has not really performed well. So I'm on Tehas and I say, they think it's just a team that's part of the Premier League, or maybe they might have heard of what had.
I think players number bohas. Adamu more orientation, Anna.
We're supposed to, but that I probably need to check and see if we are doing that. But they'll probably hear stories about what we used to be, but in the last 9 years plus, or even more, we haven't shown that we are that team that we used to be, right? So back in the day, people like these boys wanted to play for us, even without us talking to them. Omu dream they said they'll play for us, or in another case, Kotoko, and that is the highest they can be exposed to before they travel overseas. But that's not the case no more. And so the player looks at it as, okay, what you has? Well, Nations FE is there, Babiani is there. They're equally doing even better than you, and they probably have the funds to pay me. So why should I play for you? And to say if you don't have a real good way of recruiting the players and, like Joe said, talking to them and massaging the situation on bringing them on board, and you are quick to say that be 4,000 Nhyira because Matisse said will value you say the player will move on and by doing this we'll lose players. So our approach needs to change. Whatever we're doing is not working. The players are always going to be the main architects of what we do. Because of them, that's why everybody's here.
Sure.
Right? So how do we really give them that doctor-nurse relationship and be there for them, massage them and make them know that they are wanted this way? In those situations, they are not always following the money and rather what they can gain from joining House of Folk.
Okay.
That's a teacher my point in a CE. So what he's saying is say you be a transfer window now. And yes, a house and identify good players now. I'm identify almost any club ya identify them. But on all the national for now, the amount house getting it wrong is during the negotiation period.
And you probably take advantage.
So, for instance, young fan say play be say Emmanuel entry. No about Olympics. yɛsɛ Hearts pɛ no yɛsɛ Kotoko pɛ no Samatex pɛ no baabi any Gold Stars pɛ no ɔbɔ Olympics nti nkan wɔte nti kobɛka so ɔbɛn Hearts scratching any of the other clubs no yɛ interested ɛwɔ ne mu no now what Nana Nyantakyi is saying is say ubetia ne say player no end up ɛwɔ Kotoko because probably the way Kotoko any year negotiations no and you're so much interested in the numbers but the negotiations you know the abranti and the pair so we meeting halfway or convincing and say on the bomb on choose you about others now more and so air pen no or Gidi say a blue stage of the recruitment now that is where has a problem sometimes tinti yeah will figure be waiting and say yeah no we are not ready to badge into ejina baby ejina because say yeah cry ni move value catching wa who quote figures no any ade now chairman before we move on sam komo we this and in all honesty say ocean kofo in the last 3-4 years omo in charge of house negotiations now ubeka say omo ye based on street football knowledge nimbo mu alaja kan bi mu nimbo mu wadibu achiache enti on handles anoma no but elsewhere there are even clubs are apart from CEOs they have negotiators negotiating deals now do we come back and say ewo togbe ho in running the business now nkasa no are wrong people are now need the expertise to get these things done and the BR we are running into circle cancer is the repetition of the same problems is it because in charge of handling the business they are just not competent enough now.
Okay, I think that's a very good question. First off, I think in the wisdom of our leader, His Majesty Togbe, for him to handpick a few people to say they are the ones that he trusts to be able to do this, that in itself should be good enough for us, right? Because there's a reason why he's where he is, and he's successful, right? And success does not come by making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. So I want to say he thinks the people that he's selected are the ones to help us get to the promised land, if you will. And even in their negotiations, like you said, I think they've gotten some right. Because if you quite remember, last season, our biggest problem was not the scoring. It was rather the goalkeeper and the defendant. And we went through goalkeepers and made little elementary mistakes and stuff like that. But is that same team they were able to negotiate this time around and get us Benjamin Asari. So when they are doing well in that area, people automatically forget about it, say we had a problem then, right? So all I'm saying is they will get some right and they'll get some wrong. And like Benjamin Asari is one of the ones that they got right. And all the other ones that we could have potentially got, which I want to say about 2 or 3 of them ended up with Kotoko, were ones that we missed out. So as we are in a learning game, we all continue to learn, right? His Majesty Togbe continues to learn, even in his current position, because everybody wants to become better, right? And see, all I was saying is that they need to continue to learn and trying to close those gaps to the point where if we are at toe-to-toe with a team like Kotoko for a player, because we are ahead when it comes to negotiating, we are able to close the deal ahead of Kotoko versus where we are now, where it seems like Kotoko were closing all the deals that potentially could have been Hasselhoff deals. So let's continue to learn, and I think we'll get better.
Okay, Chairman. As the chairman at the diaspora, you said, sa calls you be about so. Say, Kotoko AB is only a big team. And Yeman Kuyoma Sakum coach. Has the folk you started season and I support us started coach you and you good because all last season there's all the man has now. It looks like a one or two so at the season team company for Jan Quine. Now I'm going for coach for Emra, but still, he's still at post. Meaning, sir, calls, no. Oh, no, my coach, no, Jan Quine, cover for one. If we said the timing is wrong.
So me nya calls with the bia.
Okay.
Me ame diaspora for no.
Okay.
Me nya call me friend me. Hey, friend took bena catch and so my coaching call. One of it you. Me nya the bia. But what and I mean this is just my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though we are all a diaspora, like we agree on some things, we don't agree. But at the end of the day, we'll make a collective decision on what best we want to push. I think what has not worked for House of Folk is exactly what we are trying to do, which is House of Folk is a big club, an expectant club, and people expect us to be at a certain level at all times, performing at a high level. Into Nkoya, the first thing that we do is raise the flag, the white towel, and go Yempam coach, right? And in the last 10, 12 years, how has that worked for us? As a I wouldn't even
changing
say
of coaches.
How does that work? I wouldn't even say as a club. It's a business, right? So if you're a business and you keep sacking coaches and paying them,
and the same result
it
means there's a problem with the crowd appointment. No,
probably I don't know, right? But what I do know is that sacking of the coaches is not our problem. It's probably something we need to really sit down as a team, as a group, and look at. But let me use Coach Samuel Bodo as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went through a stint of where nothing worked for us. We got Samuel Bodo. I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Samuel Bodo came to House of Folk not from any, like, he wasn't like a big fish that we went to catch, right? He was an up-and-coming coach doing well somewhere, and we identified that whatever philosophy that he has probably fits with what we are trying to do, and we brought him in. And on his first try, he won the league, he won the FA Cup, and defended the league. Okay. We loved him. Then we, the supporters, again, we started the next season. 3 games in. I don't even think he lost. I think he lost 1 and tied 2 or something like that. 3 games in, we called for his head. Okay. So we let him go even after everything he did for us. So now he goes to Chelsea. And he's at Chelsea right now. I want to say this is his first season. Do we think, I haven't looked at where Chelsea is, but if Samuel Boadu, based on what he did at Haas, comes to Chelsea and he's not able to replicate that, do we say Samuel Boadu is a bad coach? I don't think so. Right? So I just think that we only have 6 games left in the season. This is the same coach, Quatara, that has given us some joy in certain parts of this season where we won back to back and everybody was singing the Phobia anthem. And Coach Quatara is the same coach that has given us losses in the trot and everybody turns on him again, right? We have 6 games to go. Nobody has been able to man the league and take advantage of everybody's lapses. Obi winning, Obi winning next week. No, Aquada top. No, lose. No, Obi so winning. So Obi to me and command this position. In the same way House of Folk won a few games, 4 games in a row. Who knows? We win the next 6 games. Then we are back in pole position, right? But until that happens, I think we just let Coach finish what he's doing to the end of the season.
Okay.
And the big people reassess and take it from there.
Okay.
I mean, was it all diaspora? And we know the diaspora for more structured way of saying Yoma, PBI more structured. Meeting as Wasama there is certain level of agreement. Say, I say, even from near senior crack, I say 2 clubs in Yano. I did a lack of structure, like a clear for both Kotoko and Hearts. And I don't know more as diaspora for how are we going to get your clubs now? Because taxes for honum, coach for honum, supporters for honum. But in our bedrock near structure of the club. No? In one of those voices, I hear Nazando Ekano. Also, Coach Karim did this on TSC Kotoko as a club, any philosophy, and essentially it's about structure.
Yes.
But clubs, no, because clubs no structure, there will be a structure even for recruitment. Structure for coach here, the neighbor. How long you basic coach next to honum? say Osha even club it Chelsea. Graham Potter man 5 years. Unyayan Kodma Graham Potter at down, but the supporters said no, we won't agree. Then the next move was that the Pochettino Badia, everyone with just 2 years with option for 1. Season is years, months are option him go. Maresca comes, he says that 5 years. Why? Graham Potter and Maresca, who said they fit the club's philosophy and the owner's philosophy. But it looks as if we don't have. I don't know what more and penny for how you can get these two clubs to get a structure, because that's a structure in the like more than almost anything.
Yeah, I think. Thanks for the question. I think when it comes to getting side of the world, and I'll use Ghana as an example. These two clubs are traditional clubs, right? And Oshe said, we believe in certain things over the way the world is advancing, if I put it that way, right? Into it'll be a total change in the way our thought process that can only get us over there, right? The same group of people that are with the club, that are around the club, have been for a very, very long time, right? And they've done things a certain way. I think, with time, we need to be real strategic about this, where, to your point, when we are bringing people in, it needs to be strategic, right? So like it has a strategy to it. Say nipa we are
Of fit team Nana.
Or fit the philosophy and everything like that. And even if we don't have a philosophy, my question would be, like, at this day and age with football, why don't we have a philosophy, right? Yeah. And even if we do, has it been shared to the point where everybody can walk the street as a House of Folk or Kotoko fan, and you just ask them a question? What do you think? Because people follow the team, they eat, sleep, everything. They should be able to, even at that level, answer for what the philosophy is, because it's public knowledge. It's been shared, right? But I think, I wouldn't say our mentality, but sometimes the way we think in this part of the world, we want to keep everything traditional until we break that cycle where we follow the modern trend on how things are being done. We'll continue to see gaps in that area. Can we get there? We definitely can. But until we make the approach and get on the road to try to do those things, it'll take us some time.
Chama, that should be say, area to go for the flow. No, so the general manager's position at the house. Brana Beji na di Jumanu Mahasa already, Ubabe.
I'm a phobian, and I've been a phobian since I can remember. I think once I'm in football, in the future, if anything comes up and they feel because there's a lot of smart people out there. I wouldn't even put my name in the pot yet. There's a lot of smart people that are ahead and stuff like that probably could do the job. But when it gets to a point where they feel I'm ready and that I can bring whatever little knowledge that I've acquired, definitely that's something that I'll look into.
What about the amount a new team? Woman of Mighty Royals. So also name a saying.
Oh,
say you now a director.
One of the directors.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, but we actually had a chance to watch them play Sunday and Ebofu.
Okay.
I never knew like I've heard it all the time, but in Sunyani they are passionate about football.
Yeah. Oh, that area there.
Yes, and I enjoyed myself. But yes, it's still this season. I just joined not too long ago, so that was one of the reasons why I came, because I wanted to come and personally make a trip to Sunyani so I can meet with the team. The team this season has started really, really well, where I think they were top of the league for some time, and then we went into a stint where we were just draw after draw after draw after draw. So that has brought us down a little bit. But based on the game that I saw against Buffalo on Sunday, if there's anything to go by, we had a tough start in the first half, but second half came back and recovered really, really well. If there's anything to go by, I think the last few games, the boys can push to a respectable position.
Okay, that's fine. Meaning, as chairman of the Mahasi, message our person, the fans and Avi, doing some funny deals, so now, Yɛntrɔ so yɛma course no so mmerɛm kakra no
Okay.
mɛka bi.
Okay. Adding says to be a Phobian fan.
Yeah.
But once a Phobian, always a Phobian.
Sure.
Yeah, we need to stick with the team in hard times and hard times and in difficult times, and also when we're winning. Now is the difficult time. Inside say you better criticize the team, how best can we encourage them so that this last 6 games, they go in and put their maximum best. Then we'll see where we land. But let's continue to support the team.
Nti coach Isaac ndom fan to kakra.
There behind them.
Ɔmo ntwɛn na yɛmmɔ season ni.
Yeah.
No. Is onim also last year how de bema
kakra me dey be so ye me dey na place no na omunti advice kakra.
Okay.
Nyese kakra ko omunti advice especially here old players abobi no ye shi omo ne kan bibia omo mfa nim se de ko city e.
Na do we say oben team this ah.
Dabi.
Adan.
Yeah, me omo say your group or legends or sometimes na ba e ko training grounds wo e ko sra omo na advice omo nti no me mate team ni sa.
Ɛna yɛsɛ bɛn omo.
Ye bom pae.
Omo ne no mu ni di ko.
I bibi se kotoko no yen frɛ wa ya na ne komu ntimi sɔle ya sɔle ya na wokɔ dabi by floor se bia bla na be bo se me we coach wo frɛ me se jo da bia bla training ground ko na be bibi ne bo a metimi akɔba yen frɛ wo dia me ntimi kɔ ɛna coach Kalibzi to so me se supporters no yen fan pa bonta na chi
Okay.
ɛdin there but omo de pa bonta achire a me nhye obetimi deliver my team so apija.
Okay. George, and Martin Cano, is it maybe a line in 3220